Hello. Welcome to another fine episode of Corey and Matt Talk About...
Get him!
You know, at some point, we should see about if we can investigate sound effect technology.
Yeah, have some, like, 1950s...
Yeah. That's what we don't sound enough like a morning zoo.
Hey, that's exactly what's needed.
I think that's what we're lacking. At any rate, welcome to another fine episode. If you are new listeners, and we hope you are, who came here after seeing our bumper at the beginning of GOJIRA at the Carolina Theater, welcome, listeners. So yeah, we hope you'll enjoy it. I am your host, Corey.
My name's Matthew.
And we talk about stuff, as you might have gathered from the
All
title.
kinds of nerdy shit.
So yeah, that's what's going to happen. We're recording this on December 1st, 2013. And this coming episode, we're going to talk about, as always, not as much as we thought.
Yep.
We seem to be able to talk at length about a few things. But we'll have a little bit about Nintendo. We both reviewed, as in to have viewed again, The Man of Steel recently. A little bit about Samsung, Marvel and Disney and Star Wars discussion, and I think that's about it, really.
That covers it.
So listen for the music. On with the show.
Hit it!
Boom! Recording has now begun.
Now's the time of the recording.
Oh, let's see. Trying to shake off the post-Thanksgiving lethargy here. Not
Holy shit. It's a challenge, too, buddy.
A lot of luck. So we missed last week.
Yes. As well, we should have.
Indeed. It may very well be that this is the first time some of you will have heard us. Sent here, no doubt, by our sponsorship of GOJIRA.
GOJIRA!
Which I'm talking about the future now, but it'll be the past for you. So try not to let that blow your mind.
What the hell?
Hopefully that's how you got here. So, and hopefully that was an awesome show and you enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
We haven't been yet, and I know we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it so much in the future.
We will have been I don't understand tense.
Damn it, past participle.
Pluperfect. I don't, what?
Did you say pluperfect?
Yes.
That's deep grammar nerdiness, son.
That's right.
You don't get that on a lot of podcasts.
English degree to good use.
Pluperfect, bitches.
So the past couple of podcasts we've talked kind of at length on some things. So we're gonna try to make this one a little more quick hit type stuff. Maybe get you out of here in an hour, and hopefully if you people are first starting with us, that'll help get you in a little easier.
Exactly. Because we all like an extensive conversation of Asgardian lore.
Lord knows I enjoy it.
But maybe not for your very first time out.
Yep. Which if you decide to go back and listen to the last episode, that's what you got.
A bunch of it.
Yeah. So yeah, at any rate, we're going to try and keep things a little more jaunty this time. We'll keep our podcast at a rakish angle.
Jauntification begins now.
So let's look at the hits. What do we have here first? A story about Nintendo's Christmas prospects. I believe you put this link in here.
I did put that in there.
What do you have to say there, sir?
Well, here's what I was going to say about that particular item. I noticed that my 12-year-old son, who had long requested a PS4 for Christmas, long requested one, number one item on his list, is looking over the launch titles for the PS4 and the Xbox One and comes to me and says this the other day. Dad, I'm thinking maybe I want a Wii U for Christmas instead. Now, those of you that, know me know I'm a Nintendo guy. We actually bought a Wii U when they came out, but, there was such a dearth of titles that we eventually just sold it because no one was playing it in our house.
I didn't realize you'd gotten rid of it.
Yeah, but now he wants another one, and the reason, of course, is perfectly valid. If you stroll over to the old Metacritic, you'll see that 2 of the top 3 rated video games are Nintendo releases right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if the release of the PS4 and the Xbox One is not going to end up being beneficial for Nintendo this holiday season. I mean, certainly, we've got a link, but certainly Reggie Fils-Aimé thinks it's going to be, but of course he's paid to think that.
Right, exactly.
But the New York Times recently had an article voicing similar beliefs. And of course, the logic behind it is, A, the Wii U is $100 cheaper. B, it's the only system that's backward compatible.
Mm-hmm.
The Xbox One, the PS4 are not. So you have to keep your Xbox 360 or your PS3 hooked up if you want to continue to play that stuff. And also, the Wii U has a formidable lineup of software now.
Yeah, they didn't really, I don't think, recognize an advantage as far as sales from coming out early, but now they have the software maturity that the other 2 systems don't have.
That's exactly what, led my kid in that direction, because he was looking over, and, we got his PS4 like he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking him, okay, well, if you get this for Christmas, what game do you want? He had a hard time finding anything, because, A, there aren't that many games, and games of a high level of quality, there's virtually none. I mean, I think the highest rated PS4 game right now is a game called Knack, which maxes out on Metacritic somewhere in the low 60s, and basically the same thing with Xbox One, which is not surprising given that they're brand new systems with a first generation of software.
Yeah.
But the gist of it was that I think this Christmas may end up being a little more friendly to Nintendo and the Wii U than maybe initially thought.
Well, yeah, sounds like it could go that way. So, sort of tangentially to that, you said you got to use a 2DS recently?
Yeah, yep. I have a family member that was visiting and had a 2DS, and I played that. And the great thing about it is, the folding up of the 3DS is cool. I guess they've had that form factor since when?
Since the Nintendo DS, I guess, was
so there was the DS, then the 3DS, and now that we've got the 2DS.
Yeah.
Which is really, if people don't know what that is, it's the 3DS, the internals of the 3DS, just with the 3D effect taken out.
Right.
But what they've done is put it into a slab. It doesn't fold in the middle, which gives it the impression of, when I was playing, of feeling a lot sturdier.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it's much, much cheaper. It's, I think Walmart was selling them for $99 on Black Friday.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was in Best Buy last night, and I think normal price is $129.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed playing with that thing. That's also got Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, which is out right now, which is one of the top-rated games on Metacritic.
And that's now, is that I'm trying to think what I saw. Is that a remake of an old Zelda game, or completely new?
All new Zelda game.
Okay.
Now they're doing the big Zelda game for the Wii U right now is The Legend of Wind Waker HD, which of course is a HD remake.
Right.
But that's doing well too. So yeah, Nintendo just, a lot of their friends, it took them a while, and I don't understand. They've done this repeatedly. I don't understand why they don't have their big guns ready to go when they release a new system. You'd think you'd have, like, the year prior to the release of new hardware, you'd think Nintendo's development team would be doing nothing but developing a Metroid, a Super Mario, and a Zelda game.
Yep, those top shelf launch titles.
And have them out. And they didn't, but they're coming out now. And right now, if you looked at it in terms of which system is going to provide the most entertaining gaming experience, I think the Wii U would be a viable option for a lot of people.
Seems like it. I haven't done my homework on the other two systems, but then even besides that, if I just look at kind of the buzz factor, I haven't seen a ton of television advertising for any of it, to be perfectly honest. But
Nope.
I would have expected the at least the Xbox One and the PS4 to have a bigger media blitz.
Well, and they didn't need one to a certain degree. They've sold out. I mean, they've sold out all the units that they ship.
You can't sell more than all of them.
That's right. But that's, Nintendo sold out of their initial shipment of Wii U's too. The question is going to be, what's the follow-up? And right now, the software for the Xbox One and the PS4 is just thin on the ground.
It's almost like it caught the developers by surprise or something. I don't know.
But the question is, what is that? And we touched on this before. How big is that gap, truthfully, in terms of the games that you can play?
Right.
Is it going to be big enough that gamers are going to feel like they're playing poor quality games on the Wii U?
Yeah, and I think with this generation, it's however much actual distance there is, the perceived distance is probably going to be the smallest it's been ever been.
Yeah, because there's just it's getting very hard to differentiate as we get closer and closer to photorealistic graphics. More and more of what's good about gaming is going to come down to the art design, really more so than throughout the whole history of video games, from Willie Higginbotham's first incarnation of Pong. It's been, can we make it look more like a real thing?
Yeah.
Could we make it even more realistic? Well, we're pushing the edge of that, where, yes, we can make it look as realistic as we want to. It's so close to photorealism now that so much more of that is going to be about the design and the art direction of the game.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the games the most interesting to me are the ones that have, some sort of original statement to make in terms of style, or I'm a sucker for say iPhone games that are designed to look like 8-bit, old school computer Nintendo games, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That's a product of my age, obviously, but fill in the blank with whatever art style you might prefer.
Realism is not going to be the gatekeeper for gaming excellence anymore.
Well, yeah, that's the side effect too. Is if all games look realistic, then all games look alike.
That's right.
So you're going to have to find some other way to differentiate. It's a different conversation too, but I'm kind of I've always been a little bit surprised at the popularity of your Call of Duty, etc., realistic army warfare type games. I don't know, just because I don't know if it's the level of fidelity with which they can create a realistic world or what exactly, but I never would have predicted those to be as popular as they are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, I think it has to do with our age, but even back when I was a kid, I never understood sports games. Or another good example, the huge, monstrous popularity of sports game. Because to me, I wanted to play Zelda because I can't get a magical throwing sword or a boomerang or save a princess in real life. I can go throw a motherfucking football anytime I want to. I mean, I that can occur. So yes, the popularity, exactly what you were saying, of games like that are essentially, war simulators. I always wanted to be able to do something in video gaming that I could not ever realistically do myself.
Right.
And that's why I enjoyed science fiction games, fantasy games.
Laser games.
Right.
Or you want laser guns and teleporters, spaceships, shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime I'm playing a game and they got a fucking gun shooting bullets, I'm out almost immediately. Right. I'm like, look at this, firing lead projectiles. What the hell kind of shit is this? That's adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I always gravitated more toward your like Unreal Tournament and that
Right.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
Sure, exactly.
I mean, it's not to do with violence because I mean, Lord knows, Unreal and Quake were as violent as they came at the time. But
Doom.
but yeah, it's just the I don't know. I guess it must be a generational thing. Is all I can think of. But,
Yeah, the youngsters like some boring shit.
the whippersnappers. But we digress.
As we do.
So, yep. Now, we didn't plan it this way. We both coincidentally reviewed, as in to have viewed again, Man of Steel this past weekend.
Yes.
And I found it pretty much held up. I didn't really change my opinion of it. I thought it was solid. Not awesome. But certainly not bad. So, yeah, a good foundation, for future adventures in the franchise. You have anything to add to that?
I think after my initial viewing, I was a bit disappointed with it. I found that I enjoyed it more on the second time around. And I don't know whether that was because, I mean, it's all a matter of expectations. I went into it the first time expecting some profound emotional experience that I didn't get. And then when I went into the second time, I was not expecting that. I just found I found quite a few more nice touches and poignant moments in the second viewing that I don't think I appreciated in the first viewing because I was in a mode of constantly expecting the next big scene or the next spectacular battle or explosion, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I was pretty much in the same boat. I found a lot of, like, for me, it was kind of a collection of nice moments and things that, they did this well. They did this well. I like how they did this, etc. As a whole, it kind of left me a little flatter, but, I can pretty easily pick out stuff where I was like, I like the way, they did this. And we're talking about a home video release now, so I hope spoilers aren't a huge problem.
Right.
But
it's been out a while.
In case they are, here's your spoiler alert.
Spoilers!
So,
Spoilers!
But, yeah, I mean, even this is not a huge spoiler. I mean, obviously, Clark Kent's got to be in it, but...
And he's from Smallville.
Smallville, yes.
Shit, we just ruined it.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
He wears glasses.
And but I love the way they shifted all that to the back of the movie. It's basically like, everybody knows this story because that was one of my fears going into Man of Steel. It's like, oh boy, we're starting over again, so we got to do the Superman story again. We got to send him from Krypton. And I do think that the opening sequence, on Krypton and etc. I thought that went on a little more than it needed to.
Yep.
And was just kind of, Zack Snyder being Zack Snyder a little too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first part of the movie is probably my least favorite. But that said, at least they got through it in a reasonable amount of time and then kind of got on with it. But they did a pretty good job, aside from that, of taking what was kind of tired about Superman and minimizing it, or at least just, going a whole different tack with it. Like now, Lois knows right off the bat. There's none of that, horsing around with the secret identity shit.
Yeah, Dave and Maddie from moonlighting bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Just get that out of the way.
Yep. Well, not only that, get it out of the way that she knows who he is, and get it out of the way that they're in love.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already kissed.
Yep.
They're clearly in love with each other, and that's done.
Yep.
And that'll just be a given going forward.
Just get you cut away so much that slows it down at that point, because
absolutely.
And it's not even it's not that it's slows it down in the sense that this is just a dull thing, or we all know it. Just take it as read, and move on.
Because otherwise you're sitting there going, okay, when's he gonna fall in love with Lois? When's he gonna? When are they gonna?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, they push that out of the way because that's enough. That part of the mythos is ingrained to the point where you just don't need to go over it anymore.
Yep. We didn't have to deal with kryptonite.
Nope.
Lord knows we're all tired of, kryptonite.
So tired of it.
I like the idea of, and I think this is kind of the way you have to go, is just you have to raise the game of Superman's villains to overcome that, kryptonite's his only weakness. That, how else can you defeat Superman? That's the thing. You just have to make better villains.
That's right. And that's why, although they never developed him particularly well past the first Richard Donner Superman, that's why Lex Luthor has survived as Superman's arch nemesis for so many years in the comics, because he's much smarter than Superman,
right.
And he's able to, leverage that to put up some realistic threat.
Exactly, and it's not all about necessarily, what sort of physical harm can you cause Superman. There are other vectors to attack him on.
Exactly, and that's what you must do.
Yeah, exactly, and so yeah, they did a good job of just cutting away a lot of the cruft with that. I still thought that, the bit with his dad was, certainly the most emotionally resonant part of the movie.
Yeah, they did. That was the part that jumped out at me as well, and it's specifically the scene, the tornado scene, when they're under the overpass and Kevin Costner just, waves them off.
Yep.
That's a really touching moment. It's as good as most anything in any of the Superman movies, but they just needed a few more things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, his relationship with his dad was outstanding. And if they had been able to generate that kind of pathos between he and Zod, I think Henry Cavill, at his side, knows really good Superman too.
Mm-hmm.
He's earnest. He's a good-looking dude. He's almost on the verge of being freakish in certain
right.
scenes. I mean, he's almost Hulk-like. He's so big. I mean, this is not a tall but sort of lean, muscular Superman like Christopher Reeve is. This is a huge, buff, ripped dude. But I thought he did a nice job. I thought all the performances. I thought Amy Adams was good as Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
I thought all that stuff was good. It's in this movie, and like a lot of Zack Snyder movies, it seems like Zack is his own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah,
because he cast the movie well. The editing was pretty good. It's just certain things Zack apparently, certain instincts he has gets the better of him. Like turning Krypton. I realize you don't want to pay overt homage to the Donner version of Krypton.
Yeah,
but it was just a weird, bleak, flying dragon, Anne McCaffrey Dragon Riders of Pern
right.
interpretation of Krypton. And honestly, it took me a lot of time to get back into the movie because I found that illustration of Krypton to be so off-putting.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. The style of Krypton just didn't feel right. The whole organic, techno-organic angle. It made me think more of like an Alien. Mm-hmm. And I say Alien as in xenomorphs, as in Ridley Scott's Alien. Etc. It made me think of that kind of alien environment as opposed to, I don't know. It was very much a stylistic thing because they demonstrated, certainly technology was, they were at the pinnacle of their particular style of technology, but yeah, just I don't know. It just didn't feel like Krypton to me.
No, yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it, but it seemed much more. It's almost like a futuristic Mordor. I mean, it was much more.
It didn't seem so much as a world in decline as just a world. I don't know. The world itself just didn't feel. It didn't feel as though the Kryptonian culture was something to be admired.
No,
or it wasn't shown.
Superman's homeworld, in my mind,
it should be majestic.
It should be majestic. It should be actually a lot like Asgard as presented in the Thor movies.
Yeah.
Or maybe, an extension of Tomorrowland as viewed in 1960s Disney World.
Right.
And this was something that seemed more of an outcropping of almost had like a feudal feel to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, at any rate, we're both having a hard time putting our exact fingers on it, but clearly that version of Krypton, for my money, didn't do it for me.
Right.
Even though I thought, again, the performances from what's his name?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, Gladiator. Yeah, Russell Crowe, and then the actress that played Laura. I thought they were strong performances.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. Something about the weight of the art direction in there was, and really throughout the movie, they worked a little too hard to make it gritty and realistic.
Yeah. I always felt like the ideal for Krypton was, and it was almost like they arrived at this by accident in the Richard Donner movies. I don't know what their design intent was, but basically, technology has progressed to such a point where everything is just sterile and lifeless and
Correct.
Devoid of culture.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
It's just not what I felt from.
Yes, this did not look like a society that had reached some logical endpoint.
Right. So, we could do a whole show on Man of Steel. Certainly. I was trying to think. Speaking of the performances, I was pretty impressed with how they, the human military leaders were not impotent, basically.
Right.
You felt like they had, even though they essentially were, and that they posed no real threat to, Zod or his forces, they figured out a way to play it such that you felt like, they had some role greater than spectator.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was handled, and really the only time it's been discussed or examined in any Superman movie that I'm aware of. In every previous incarnation of Superman, it's just Superman shows up, the President of the United States shakes his hand.
Yeah, exactly. He's
a good
guy.
obviously
Look
a
at
great fellow.
Look at him. Look at his clothes.
He's got a red, yellow, and blue uniform on. Obviously, he's a fine lad.
What more need be said?
And which, don't get me wrong, it should get to that point, as Superman said at the end of Man of Steel. Again, spoilers. When he's talking to the general at the end, he's like, and the general makes some allusion to him, Superman. What if Superman represents a threat to American interests? And Superman's like, General, I'm from Kansas.
Can't get much more American than that.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is where you should get. But of course, initially, a superpowered alien individual of this sort should have realistically been treated with skepticism by the American military. And he was, and it was done so well and so subtly that they did it without vilifying the military characters.
I was about to say that you didn't have your stand. They didn't go either way. They didn't make Superman, as you just said, he wasn't automatically the friend of America.
Exactly.
And they also didn't go the other way, the prototypical military dickhead.
Yep.
He's our enemy, and that's just how it is.
Basically, yeah. There's a tendency in the movies to play every military guy as Chet from Weird Science. Some, complete ass eater who just hates all things that are weak or different.
Right.
And no, they didn't do that. They made the military realistically skeptical of both Superman and Zod, since of course they didn't know shit about either one of them.
Right.
And then as Superman proved his good intentions, they came to accept that.
Yeah.
So you're right. I hadn't thought about that, but that is deserving of some praise because they handled that with a lot of subtlety.
Yeah, they like I said, they just did a really good job of towing that line. Like, they made perfectly reasonable decisions, that I think a reasonable person would make. I feel like I'm being repetitive here, but anyway, I thought the American military was portrayed very well in that,
realistically and fairly.
Yep.
Well, and for one concrete example is, of course, they put handcuffs on Superman, which was stupid,
Right.
and of course he almost inadvertently shrugged them off.
Yeah.
Later, but the point was, once they realized how powerful he was, you didn't see a Keystone Cop sequence of them throwing hardware and shit at Superman trying to capture him or keep him imprisoned or keep him in line.
Right.
They came to the conclusion very soon, the realistic conclusion, if this guy isn't doing anything bad, we're just gonna leave him the fuck alone, because we don't have any realistic way to deal with this guy. Which, in past movies, like the worst, most egregious example of this really is in Superman 2, where the American military keeps throwing shit at Zod as if they're going to, let's crash a helicopter into him.
This time's the winner. This'll get it.
Exactly.
This'll do it.
Once they realize, he's a godlike...
Third time's the charm.
He's a godlike alien. with an omnipotent godlike alien. We're going to stop now.
And related to that, I like that it was shown, when they were attacking Zod's forces, they weren't completely impotent there either. Like they obviously were greatly outmatched. Certainly. But the aliens had things you could damage. Their environment suits, their ships. So again, they did a good job of making the military have some kind of role that wasn't just ornamental or
they weren't all alfalfa from the Little Rascals.
Right. So yeah, I'm curious to see where they'll go with it from here. I don't know how the whole Superman Batman thing is gonna work out.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole show on that.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing great to add about that. Yeah, I think that's about all the thought I had on it, really.
Yep. That's all we need to say about it. Solid but unspectacular.
Yep. And I said the very same thing about Batman Begins. So it's it's not to say we couldn't end up with a really great series. Because certainly compared to the other two, Batman Begins, I don't think you can call it much more than solid.
Sure, that's all it is. Solid, but and unspectacular to me.
But that's like, the gold standard everybody holds when DC does anything. They're like, Batman is awesome. It should be as good as this.
Right.
So,
and people forget that now. I mean, you're absolutely right. It is the standard, but people forget that the first movie in that series is just okay.
Yeah.
It's like a 7 out of 10. It's not a home run.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Dark Knight that Christopher Nolan really, whipped out his ding-dong and smacked it around.
Right.
I mean, that's when it became epic and legendary.
Yeah, and it raised the level of the whole series. Like I said, people don't even think about Batman Begins anymore. It almost doesn't enter conversation.
Yep.
They just forget about it. So, yeah, let's see. What else? See, we've got an article here about the Galaxy Gear smartwatch flops with just 50,000 units sold.
To the surprise of no fucking body.
Yeah. If you'll recall, a few episodes back, we said essentially that same thing. Who wants this watch?
Yes.
And we couldn't come up with anybody. So I don't know if there's much more to be said about that one. I finally saw the ad you were talking about where the person has the phone in their hand but answers the call with the watch.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Yeah. I had the same criticism. Why would you do that if you have the phone in your hand? And
the even better one, along those same lines, the even better ad, and by better I mean stupid. The even better ad is when the guy has a Samsung phone in his hand with a point and shoot quality camera in it, and he's taking the selfie from the crappy ass watch or the crappy ass camera embedded in the side of
in
the watch.
No, I haven't seen that one, but yeah, that's goofy too.
Yes. It's even goofier.
And that's, I mean, obviously we're splitting hairs over, the way they choose to present the product, but it kind of points to the whole endemic problem with the smartwatch is, how do you avoid making it redundant, basically?
That's right.
Yeah.
You've got, what is it that this thing's going to do for you that your phone doesn't do? Or, like, the other route you can go is in the way that Apple went with the iPad. Here's a subset of things that this thing does very, very well, maybe better, because, you would compare an iPad to a laptop.
Right.
And here's something that this thing does very, very well, a subset of things that'll do better than that other device. And the Gear just has none of that. It does a subset of things, yes, but it does them shittier than the original device.
And not terribly more convenient either.
No.
And I think, that's the big question mark hanging over, nobody knows if Apple's even going to do a watch. My personal feeling is that they aren't. But even if they do, Apple's going to put some spin on it that is not anything we've expected to see. If Apple comes out with a smartwatch, it's not going to look like the Galaxy Gear.
No, it's not. And if they come out with a smartwatch, honestly, I think it'll be more along the lines of a Nike Fuel Band. I've come to be convinced that it's going to have some biometric aspect to the functionality that justifies its existence.
Yeah.
Because right now, just the Galaxy Gear and even the Pebble smartwatch, all the other smartwatches are just trying to be phones on your wrist.
Yeah. The problem, and this is common with, anybody who tries to figure out what Apple is going to do is you just really don't know. You look at pieces, you look at parts, you don't have any idea what the whole is going to look like. I know on Mac Break Weekly, the one I just listened to, they were talking about Prime Sense, the company they just bought. Talking about what could they do with the technology, and the thing is, you can speculate ad nauseum, but there's nothing that really gives you any idea of what Apple has in mind.
You're exactly right. And so for people who don't know, Prime Sense is the company that developed the gesture control interface and hardware for the Xbox.
Yeah, the Kinect.
The Kinect system. So Apple bought that company outright, and which doesn't really, people were speculating about how this relates to Microsoft. It doesn't really relate to Microsoft because Microsoft bought that technology for their use, and they've since adapted it.
There's
no connection between
additional relationship.
Between Prime Sense and Microsoft at this point. But the thing is, in addition to what you just said, you're only seeing one of those wonky ass, 15 indention pieces of a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and trying to figure out what the whole image is. In addition to that, Apple is well known for buying a company just because they want the talent involved with that company.
Yeah, an acqui-hire.
Exactly. Entirely possible that Apple bought that whole company because there's 3 engineers there that they value. Because top-flight engineering talent is so hard to come by that this is something that Apple has done before and will do again.
And Apple has enough money at this point, they can basically, they can chase a blind lead if they want to. They're like, well, yeah, we might do something with this, we might not. Fuck it.
Yep.
Let's spend the money. That way we have the ability if we decide we want to.
Yep.
And the patents could be valuable. I mean, there's just, there's just not enough info there. Every single thing you can speculate from it is the worst kind of speculation.
Well, it is, and everything you can speculate at this point is equally valid and invalid.
Yeah.
You could they're going to do a video game system with motion control. Oh, they're going to do this. Any guess you want to make is a good guess.
Sure.
And anything you want to say is a terrible guess.
Right.
Because there's just not enough information to really make an educated guess right now.
Yeah. So So all that to say that, yeah, nobody wants a watch.
Certainly nobody wants a big-ass smartphone watch.
Yeah.
As of yet.
So yeah, not much more to be said there, I don't think.
Well, the last thing I just want to say, actually, yeah, there really isn't anything more to be said, but I'm going to say this anyway. I think if you're a company, right, and you're going to make a watch that's somehow, I hate the term, but a smart watch or somehow has some type of functionality that we think of in the digital age, right off the bat, you just can't, if the shit is huge, you've done something wrong. I mean, it's going to be something, if you're going to make something like that work, it's going to be thin and sleek and attractive. If it's some big-ass monster Casio calculator watch looking thing, you're wrong. It's not going to work because it's such a thing has never worked.
Yep.
So I'm confused why we still see companies going down that path.
And they keep showing women wearing it in the commercials too.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. And I don't know. That just seems a little blatant that they're trying to, hey, let's see, women can wear this. It's cool.
We already said, who is it going to be? Who there's going to be a couple women wearing them because they have
Sarah
jobs.
Lane. And
Sarah Lane and Kara Swisher, maybe, from the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
It'll be like half a dozen women who get one for free to review, and that's who you're going to see wearing them.
Yeah. But yeah, at any rate, here's the thing. You know, if it's going to be shitty, it should at least look cool. Or if it's going to not look cool, it should at least do cool stuff. And
exactly.
You got to have one of those legs to stand on.
It's got to be friggin' out of this world, super nerdy tech, awesome, or sleek and attractive.
Right. But it is neither one.
No.
So yeah. Let's see. Let's see. This has actually been sitting out here a little while. The Marvel Disney Netflix deal.
Yes.
Of course, you know, my enthusiasm for this has diminished somewhat after seeing how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has gone and just how relentlessly dull it is.
We'll have to wait. I mean, the Agents, it's got such a long leash, but certainly it's looking like at this point this is Marvel's first whiff at the plate.
Right.
I mean, I would be surprised if this came on to become some sort of big hit for them. But maybe it will. I mean, who knows? Like I said, they've got a long leash. They're going to have probably another year to make it work at least. Or at least, another season to make it work at least. But so far, I can't even track any improvement. Now, I've seen a couple people online claiming that they've gone from unwatchable to simply mediocre.
Right.
But I don't even agree with that. I thought the first episode was mediocre. I think they've all been mediocre. I see no upward trajectory still.
Yeah, I've seen them all. I've kept up with it. And yeah, thus far, it's at best inoffensive.
Right.
You know, I mean,
right.
You know, and talk about damning with faint praise. At any rate, the Marvel Netflix deal is to develop Marvel TV shows for Netflix, specifically Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. You know, that little corner of the Marvel universe. I guess that would be like the Marvel Knights.
Yes.
Knights with a K. The Kniggets. So I don't know really how to feel about that just yet. Because, you know, the flip side of Netflix is you're talking about how much leash they have. They have, you know, essentially an infinite leash with Netflix. You know, there's no, well, let's put these out and, you know, see if we get a whole season. When Netflix gets it, it's a whole season. You know?
That's right.
So,
and there's such a low threshold because all Netflix is trying to get out of it is unique content.
Right.
That's almost it. I mean, it almost literally has to have no other redeeming quality. They're not trying to win an Emmy. They're not trying to make a huge amount of money on it or any money. They're just trying to have unique content to sell subscriptions with.
Yeah. you know, which is not to say they're just half-ass about it, but yeah, let's be clear about what Netflix wants out of this deal. You know, they want something to drive subscriptions. You know, the upside for Marvel is they essentially have a blank check. You know, they can do whatever they want. Now, you know,
and it also answers a question that you and I have been asking for a while, and probably everyone's been asking for a while, is what is Marvel going to do with these second-tier properties?
Right.
And now we know.
Yeah.
And they could.
Well, we know with some of them.
And make no mistake, this is probably like a toe in the cold ass pool to see if you can tolerate it, because if it works with these, Marvel's got hundreds probably of second tier characters literally just below. God damn it, I've said literally twice in the last 5 minutes. I want to apologize to America right now, and that's not going to happen again. But Marvel has hundreds of characters just below the Daredevil level that they could do this with if this turned out to be successful.
Yeah. Like, it actually, at this level, Daredevil is kind of, I mean, you know, he already had a movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Daredevil is actually somewhere below Thor, but above, you know, the other two guys that they were mentioning, like Iron Fist.
Yeah, Luke Cage, yeah.
Daredevil is a guy that most people will not have heard of, but certainly isn't a completely anonymous. Mm-hmm. But once you get down to the Luke Cage level, you've got daylight for miles, because you can pluck those type of characters out of the Marvel universe for the next 50 years.
Yeah, the Marvel org chart flattens out pretty sharply at that point.
Yes. You've just got guys that were, you know, had a book for a year, or guys that had a book for 2 years, or guys that guest starred. You've got ROM Space Knight. You know, when's there going to be a ROM Space Knight Netflix show?
Well,
I mean, that could happen at any time.
Well, does ROM still belong to Hasbro or whoever it is?
That's a good question. I don't know. But yeah, rights issues aside,
same idea. Yeah.
There's just a ton of guys that Marvel has that, again, the comic only ran for 6 months or something, or were reasonably popular but not worth the cost of publishing it every month. Your Moon Knights, just Man-Wolves, your Mobiuses,
your Werewolves by Night.
You just they had a Dracula series for a while. There's just a ton going all the way back to the 40s of characters like that you could pull out.
You never know who they're going to pick to push up to the big leagues either.
That's right.
You know, nobody could have predicted Iron Man would be as popular as he was. But,
no.
You know, then you've got, Blade. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the most high-profile example now. Who's heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy outside of comics?
And Guardians of the Galaxy, what a bizarre choice.
Yeah.
What a strange choice. And it speaks to the fact that, you know, Fox and Sony own some of Marvel's biggest guns. So after you go below the Avengers heroes, there's not a lot more there. I mean, after you get, you know, considering that Fox owns Fantastic Four and X-Men.
Yep.
Sony owns Spider-Man. They've already done all the Avengers, individually, all the Avengers, and the Avengers as a group.
Yep.
You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, that's, I guess, what's next. Because you're right, the bell curve is on the decreasing side.
Right.
With what Marvel can pull from now, and they're going to have to rely on making interesting content from here on out.
Well, it's kind of the movie equivalent to that old, you know, let's get this super hot writer and artist and put them on this character, you know, nobody's really gives a shit about, and see what they can do with it.
Yep.
You know, they're kind of doing the movie equivalent to that. So yeah, it's a little too early to say much about this, but you know, it's all promising. You know, the more Marvel they can put out there, the better. You know, some of it's bound to be good.
Yeah, and as long as they're not crazy about the budgets, and Marvel has shown good aptitude so far in deciding what they can realistically spend on a particular budget. Like, for example, Thor doesn't get as much money as Iron Man does.
Right.
Iron Man didn't get as much money as the Avengers did.
Yep.
They seem to create a realistic budget, and they said, okay, well, we'll give you $50 million. If you make our $50 million back, we'll give you $75 next time.
Yep. And it's, Disney is pretty smart about, knowing when to get involved and when not to. They've let Pixar pretty much do what they want.
And why would you not?
Have, nothing but profit as a result. For all intents and purposes, that seems to be what they're going to do with Marvel and Star Wars.
Disney's
the Muppets.
Bob Iger's a smart cat,
yeah.
And Disney's a good outfit. They're like, look, we're going to buy these properties. Let the folks that are in charge of them stay in charge of them. That's why we were attracted to them to begin with.
Yep.
And as long as they are making us money, we're not going to screw around with it.
We're gonna take our cut off the top and leave you to it.
It's exactly what the Weinsteins have done for years.
Mm-hmm.
Bob and Harvey Weinstein's how they became successful. They're like, we're going to give Robert Rodriguez $20 million because we know we're going to make 30, and we're not even going to go to the set.
Right.
And say, here, Bob, here's $20 million. You make a movie about a bitch with one leg and a machine gun for the other leg, or whatever you want to do with it. You get that old dude and you make him a psycho killer named Machete, cool, whatever. You get Daryl Sabara and do some crazy, 3D CGI movie about kid spies, whatever you want to do. Because we're going to give you $15 million. We trust you enough to know that you'll make us a profit, and we don't show back up when you got a movie for us to distribute.
We'll keep cashing the checks and keep signing your checks. This is how we'll do that.
Which makes sense to me.
Yep. So yeah, all good news, I think. Speaking of Star Wars, it's a good segue. This is something that's also been common knowledge for a little while now, but Episode 7 has an opening date.
Yep.
And that'll be just a little over 2 years from now. Yeah, December 18th, 2015.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen they already put out a picture from the set of JJ standing next to R2-D2. So spoiler alert, apparently R2 is going to be in it.
Yeah.
I also understand there'll be some lightsabers and spaceships.
They'll probably open with a yellow crawl across the space background. Just a guess. Not really much more to say about that because there's so little information on it.
Yeah.
But yes.
That's going to be a carefully orchestrated media campaign.
The only thing about it, and it's not to say anything negative about the movie because I love J.J. Abrams. I love Star Wars. I don't think it can go wrong. Seeing a Star Wars movie in December is going to be odd for me. I mean, I would prefer that not to be the case.
Right.
I almost wish that they would push it back to May of the following year. I just don't think of Star Wars as a wintertime phenomenon.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've been trying to figure out what their idea for that is, I guess, because there's just not as much raw competition. Although it's one of those things, what on earth can compete with Star Wars anyway?
Well, there's two things on that. One, Abrams said he just didn't think there was quite enough time to do it and have it released. And there's no reason to question that. That's probably true. Did the same thing with Star Trek. Yeah. That was supposed to be released that holiday. They pushed it back to the following summer. But I think what you said before is correct. It's taken them a long time. Titanic, kind of a shitty movie. Mm-hmm. Avatar, kind of a shitty movie. Both of them biggest hits of all time. And the reason is because James Cameron, God bless him, he can't make good movies anymore. His last good movie was what? See, that I think that tells you all you need to know.
We weren't even pausing on purpose.
No, it was not a gag. We were literally sitting here with our eyes scrunched up, thinking hard.
The abyss? Question mark.
What was his last good movie? Because what was the movie he made prior to? Was T2 his last good movie? I can't even think of it.
I don't even know.
Because he takes so
After
long.
After T2, I forget what was the next movie, period, whether it was good or not.
He takes so long between movies that it's
Well, True Lies came after T2, right? True Lies was like 93, 94, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah. So, yes, it was True Lies. True Lies was the last good movie, to my mind, because you had True Lies, then you had Titanic, and then you had, that documentary he did.
Oh, yeah, the Titanic.
Then Avatar. So, yes, I mean, to me, the man's last good movie was True Lies. Other people may have differing opinions that are incorrect. But whatever your opinion happens to be, you can't argue that Avatar is anything but average and Titanic is anything but average. But he figured out, look, I'm going to make this huge $100 million epic, and I'm going to plop it down in goddamn December when there's nothing else like it.
Yep.
Because December has historically been the release your Academy Award hopeful during this time.
Award season.
This is your Howard's End season.
It's not about box office at that point.
So he turned that on its head, and I think that's exactly what they've done here. Is they're like, okay, we've got this movie, because Avatar 2, guess what, doesn't come out till 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to plop it in a time when there's literally not another blockbuster of its caliber for months on either side.
Yep. And you've got The Hobbit will have cleared by then.
Yep.
Because the last Hobbit will be 2014, so that'll be out of the way. How many more Catching Fires are there? Or Hunger Games, rather. I know Catching Fires.
I don't know, but those honestly don't even compete really in the same. You could have a Catching Fire, I think, or even a Harry Potter type movie that came out during Christmas. It's just a matter of the volume. Like in June and May and July, you have got huge $100 million action films coming out virtually every weekend.
Yeah. Essentially 12 in a row. Yeah.
Yes. But you get one or two is not going to matter.
Yeah, the audience is a little, does differ a bit.
Yeah.
But even then, like, assuming they're a year apart, like, I think there might only be one other Hunger Games movie, and if it comes out next December, that'll be out of the way too. So even then,
But if you ask me, yeah, I think that's their primary driver is like, because I think it burned J.J. Abrams with Star Trek. I think the first Star Trek was a good enough movie that had they been able to release it during Christmas, it'd have made an additional $75-100 million because it would have had far less competition. It was a really good movie, but it was pummeled by other $100 million action movies when it came out.
Yeah. So you lose your margins at that rate. The people on the edge who are like less picky about what blockbuster they go see, they just want to see one. And whatever's new this week is what they're going to go see. Yeah.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It'll be kind of neat because, on the one hand, as a movie lover, it's nice to have, summer's just awesome because it's just one great thing after another. But it makes the rest of the year, it's just such a long slog from October to May.
And there's a lot of good movies in that time, but you got to really hunt them down and do your research. Whereas you can expect a level 7, let's say, action adventure movie once a week for 3 straight months.
Yeah.
In the summer. And occasionally a truly great one.
Yep, and if you're lucky, one will, a couple will catch you by surprise. So yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. And whatever the strategy is, I just think it'll be nice to have something to look forward to around that time of year.
Yep, it'll be a nice change of pace.
Yep. Because for me, I mean, we talked about it earlier off mic, but the last big Christmas thing for me to look, was back in the Lord of the Rings days.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I certainly like The Hobbit, but it's the cart has been put before the horse.
Yeah, I agree. The Hobbit's only going to be so interesting to me, just like the Star Wars prequels were only so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because you know the end of that story already.
Exactly.
And
yeah, you've got that too. We've got to see. We don't know what is going to happen.
Oh, these are the Star Wars movies I would have desperately wanted to see, starting with the prequels.
Yeah.
This is always what I saw the prequels, and the prequels are in many ways are rightly excoriated for being poor, but I don't think they're as poor as some people do. But their emotional resonance is always diminished by the fact that ultimately you know how things are going to go down.
Where it's going to end up.
And this will not be the case. This is telling a whole new story that you cannot predict.
Yep. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's certainly more so than I was with the prequels. It'll be hot.
I kind of wish they would. I kind of wish they would license the Fox fanfare, though. That's going to be weird and creepy to see a Star Wars movie with the, I guess they'll have the Disney
will it
castle,
be the Disney castle,
and then the scroll.
Yeah, how do they stylistically put? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see if they do a stylized.
I'm sure they're
Disney castle.
I'm sure they're gonna do something right to make it interesting, but. For those of you, this is probably, anybody that watches this is probably pretty nerdy, but you know what we're talking about by the Fox fan. Dun, 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 ba-da-dun, dun, dun. For years, I thought that was part of the beginning of a Star Wars movie. I didn't even know any different. I thought, oh, that's what happens in front of a Star Wars movie. I guess the first one that ever didn't have it was that animated Star Wars movie.
Oh, the Clone Wars?
Yeah. Isn't that right?
I don't know, because I don't think I saw that.
No, I didn't bother to see it either, but I think I heard that didn't have the Fox fanfare for some reason. But yeah, it'll just be a little strange to see a Star Wars movie start without that, because we've had, of course, 6.
Yep. Well, we'll find some way to soldier through, no doubt.
We'll try to live.
So we're just a hair above an hour now, so that might be as much as y'all are willing to take for this week.
I think that's plenty.
Did you have anything else you wanted to throw in?
That's a lot of entertainment. Yes, the Clone Wars movie was distributed by Warner Brothers, so obviously it would not have had the Fox fanfare.
There you go. You heard it here. Not even close to first.
Nowhere near first. You're many, many years after the fact.
You heard it here. Full stop.
Breaking information on a 2008 movie. It's Corey and Matt.
Hey, we're on the cutting edge here, folks. But look, if you're coming to us for breaking news, then yeah, you're already screwed up.
It's the wrong place to go, my friend.
We're analysis. That's what you come to see us for. Analysis.
Deep, intelligent analysis of shit.
Discussion. We almost made that with a straight face. At any rate, we hope you new folks will come back next week. And we try to do this roughly weekly. We missed a couple here and there, but that to be expected. Life gets in the way. We have jobs. You have children.
We're not just massive internet stars.
Exactly.
Damn it.
We're hoping to be, but we're not at the moment.
Well, yeah, I was kind of going, we're not just massive internet stars.
I'm sorry.
I was making up a lie. You could have backed me up a little, but that's fine. Yes, we are not currently massive.
This is what happens when you don't rehearse. It's off the cuff.
Damn it. I knew I shouldn't have rehearsed by myself.
We'll fix it in post, right?
Hell yeah, we will.
At any rate, we hope if you're new, you'll go listen to some old shows, come back for some new ones. Just listen in some form or fashion. Send your friends, send your enemies, etc.
Send them.
Check out all our social media crap linked herein.
Look at it and behold it.
And so, yeah, I think that's about it for this week. Once more, I am your host, Corey.
My name is Matthew.
And we'll catch you next time.